you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you and welcome as we witness the evolution of the Game Show Canada into the global game. I'm your host, Marc Power. I'm delighted to be with you on this new journey as we take on the world, looking at shows from Canada, the United States, England, Australia, France, and who knows where else. Not necessarily just those 8 countries you saw in the intro. We're going to travel all over the world. And I hope that you're just as excited for this new series as I am. And to get things started off, I figure we should get started with a bang and look at one of the most popular game shows in England, as it ran for 14 years and made a star out of everyone involved. Its host Jim Bowen, its co-host Tony Green, and even its sidekick, Bully. It's time to look back at the darts-based game show, Bullseye.
And welcome to another edition of Bullseye. We've got a great audience here tonight. We hope you're enjoying the show at home. Now, listen, we've had some letters in from a lot of people suggesting that I've got mannerisms, and I think it's very unkind because this audience will tell you I haven't got any mannerisms, have I, audience? Sit down! The audience have gone to pieces. We'd like...
Bullseye was a popular British game show that originally ran once a week on ITV from 1981 to 1995 for an incredible run of 14 years. The game is based around the popular game of darts. That's right, folks, I'm calling it a game. It's a game, not a sport. Prove me wrong. The host of the show was comedian Jim Bowen. Later in the run, he was joined by co-host and professional darts commentator Tony Green. Tony was brought on to co-host mainly because, as it turned out, Jim sucked at math and had a lot of trouble keeping score. So this became Tony's job, and it eventually morphed into an on-screen role. Also joining him was the show's animated mascot of a bull named Bully. The game sees 3 teams compete in a combination of darts and Q&A. Each team has a darts player, the brawn, and a player who answers the questions, the brain. The first game is the category board. The game is played on a dartboard divided into 10 sections, each representing a category, and each category is further divided into 3 sections. 3 rounds are played, each team getting 1 turn in each round. The brain chooses a category. The brawn then throws a dart at the board, hoping to hit the category their partner called for. If they did, they won a bonus for their team depending on how close they got to the center, of either 30, 50, or 100 pounds. If they hit a bullseye, it was worth 200 pounds. Jim would then ask the brain a question, and if they answered correctly, they won a bonus of either 30 pounds in the first round, 50 in the second round, or 100 in the third round, and that category would be eliminated for the game. If the brain missed the question, Jim would offer it as a toss-up to the other 2 brains. However, only the first player to buzz in would get a chance at it. And if that player got it wrong, the question was thrown out. If a brawn landed a dart in the wrong category or missed the board, no bonus would be offered. If they hit the wrong category, then Jim would still ask a question in that category if it was still in play for a chance at the bonus money. Up until Series 8, the lowest scoring team at the end of this round was eliminated. But from the 8th series on, all 3 teams would then go on to the second round, pounds for points. In pounds for points, the 3 dart players would play a total of 3 rounds of standard match play darts. The highest scorer earning a general knowledge question for their partner, worth a payoff of their score in pounds. If they missed the question, the next highest scoring team was given a chance to convert their score to cash. And if they got it wrong, then the third team would get a chance. After 3 rounds, the team with the highest score won and went on to the bonus game. The eliminated teams received a consolation prize that included whatever money they picked up along the way, as well as tankards, or a goblet if it was a woman contestant, emblazoned with the Bullseye logo, as well as a set of darts and the infamous bendy bullies, some rubber dolls of the show's mascot, Bully. And since these were never made commercially available, they've actually become quite rare and are very prized collector's items that are worth quite a bit. Before the team goes on to play the bonus round, however, a special game is played featuring a guest celebrity or professional darts player. This guest will play 3 rounds of standard match play darts, winning £1 for each point, which would be donated to a charity of the winning team's choice. If the guest managed to total up a score of 301 or more, then the payout would be doubled. In addition, the guests were also competing for a trophy called the Bronze Bully, which would go to the highest scorer at the end of each series. In order to even up the competition, celebrity guests were given a 60-point head start, and that would count in the payoff for the charity. After some time, however, the show stopped booking celebrities for the charity throw, and this was mainly because a lot of celebrities would perform poorly and would just offer to chip into the charity out of their own pocket, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. So from that point on, they were just booking professional darts players. According to Jim Bowen's autobiography, this led to a pretty infamous moment in episode 1984, when the guest was comedian Carol Lee Scott, who had been a longtime friend of Jim's. And according to his story, the two got into a heated exchange after the show when Jim made a snide comment about how poorly she played. And as a result, they got into a huge argument and never spoke to each other again. So probably another reason why celebrities stopped appearing on the show. For the bonus round, there are 2 parts. The first is Bully's prize board. The team would play on a board divided into alternating red and black sections. The red sections numbered 1 through 8, and there was also a bullseye in the center. The team would have a total of 9 darts to throw at the board, with the Bron getting 6 darts and the Breen getting 3, taking alternating turns, so Bron starts and Bron ends. If they landed a dart in the red section, they won a prize, with the bullseye being worth a slightly bigger prize. If they landed a black section, they essentially wasted that dart. And if they landed a dart in the red section that they had already hit, they lost the prize, but could win it back by landing a 3rd dart there. Hence Jim's catchphrase, keep it out of the black and in the red, nothing in this game for 2 and a bed. Regardless of how the team did, they could then elect to try for the star prize gamble. If they chose to gamble, they would each have 3 darts on a standard match play dartboard, and would have to get a combined score of 101 or more. If the gamble succeeded, they would add the mystery star prize, which would not be revealed until after the round was played. If they failed, they lost all the prizes. And up until the 10th series, they would still keep their main game winnings if they lost. But from that point on, the money would also be at risk. However, the charity winnings were always guaranteed. As Jim would often say, the check would be sent right after they finished taping. This led to another Jim Bowen catchphrase saying, when they lost, they would leave with just their BFH, bus fare home. If a team declined to gamble, then the second place team was given the option to risk their main game winnings versus the star prize. If they too turned it down, then the third place team would get the option. And it was pretty rare for all three teams to turn in the gamble, especially because typically the third place team didn't have a whole lot of money to gamble. Now, the bonus prizes were often a source of mockery. It's like many British game shows at the time. There were strict limits on prizes enforced by the Independent Broadcasting Authority. So there were several inexpensive prizes or laughable prizes offered, including cuddly toys or remote control cars. Some of them would even get a laugh from the studio audience during the prize plug. But it wasn't really fair because Bullseye was actually giving away some pretty generous prizes for its time. The star prizes were especially nice, as they would include cars, caravans, trips, and complete kitchens. Once the limits were dropped in 1993, they got better. And on at least 2 occasions, they even offered a cash prize of £5,000. Bullseye became extremely popular, where it would garner close to 20 million viewers a week at its peak. And by the end of its run, they were getting 12,000 contestant applications a year. There was even a 5-year waiting period just to get tickets to be in the audience. Even when the show was canceled, it was still drawing over 10 million viewers a week. And according to the show's creators, there were plans to do another series, but the network insisted on making several changes to the show that they felt would just ruin it. So they decided to just end the show instead. But of course, you just can't keep a good show down. In 2005, Bullseye would return for a one night only as part of Ant and Dec's game show marathon. They even brought in Tony Green to return as the co-host for that night. Oddly, Jim Bowen did not appear in the episode, but showed up later on a game show marathon on their version of The Golden Shot. This proved to be so well. To do so well, it led to a full-time return 1 year later on Challenge, the UK's answer to the game show network, with comedian Dave Spikey as host, and Tony Green returning as the co-host. Gameplay remained the same, right down to the payouts, with the Bullseye value being oddly lessened to £150. However, this version was heavily criticized because the format just felt stale. Dave Spikey, who admitted he was very nervous following in Jim Bowen's shoes, just wasn't as sharp as a host. And the darts players recruited by the show just weren't that good. So the revival would only last 30 episodes. However, Bullseye would return again for one night as part of the 2007 series of Game Show Marathon, with Tony Green again returning. And that led to rumors of a reboot, with Vernon Kay as host, but it never materialized. Bullseye would return again in 2020 as part of Alan Carr's Epic Game Show, and was included in the rotation for the 3 years that it lasted. And very recently, another one-night special was aired, with former cricketer Freddie Flintoff as the host, and this has led to rumors of another reboot being in the works, but nothing's been confirmed. Thanks to the success of Bullseye, Jim Bowen became a huge star, becoming known for his many catchphrases on the show, the most infamous being "super smashing great," a phrase Jim never actually said, but it became part of a running joke, and it all stemmed from an infamous moment on the show when, while interviewing a contestant, the contestant revealed that he was unemployed, to which Jim said great. This meant Jim made it abundantly clear that either he wasn't paying attention or he just didn't care. This incident was pretty early in the run, and a producer later explained that Jim was still kind of learning the ropes as a host and was distracted by the director's signals. So as a result, he in fact wasn't paying attention to the contestant. Jim would continue his acting and comedy work after the show's cancellation, and made telling funny backstage stories about the show as part of his routine. In 1999, he would return to radio. However, the stint would only last 3 years when he resigned. This was because of an incident in which he was talking about an officer that gave him a speeding ticket and referred to them by using a very old English word which hasn't aged well and kind of sounds like a racial slur now. I won't repeat it. He apologized immediately and insisted there was no racial connotation intended. But the damage was already done. And it did keep him off TV for a while. Many people believe it was this incident that kept him from being considered for the Challenge TV revival of Bullseye. However, he would make a comeback and would continue his career. But he was stalled a few times due to his health, including having 2 strokes in 2011. And in 2014, he would suffer yet another stroke that would pretty much end his career. Jim passed away in 2018 at the age of 80. Tony Green would return for several of the one-off specials of Bullseye and the 2006 revival, and continue on as a darts commentator, taking a break in 2010 to undergo cancer treatment. He would return and continue his career until he called his final tournament in 2022. Tony would pass away just recently after a battle with Alzheimer's disease at the age of 85.
Now, Bullseye, of course, ran for 14 years, and you can't have a show run that long without having a number of questionable moments and funny moments. And as I mentioned, Jim often talked about these in his stand-up shows. And there are some YouTube videos out there where he tells some funny stories. I won't go through all of them, but there's a couple that stood out to me, and that there was one where they had 2 contestants who, unfortunately, at the start of the show, turns out they had a few too many. So they did their best to sober them up since they couldn't find the alternates. And luckily they got eliminated after the first round and only won 20 pounds. So they carry on, got to the bonus round. The first team decided not to take the gamble. Second team decided not to take the gamble. So unfortunately you got to bring the drunks back out. And they got drunk again. So sobered them up as best as they could, brought them back on. And they asked them if they wanted to take the gamble. They said no. So the producer went and chased them out the door, saying, "Really, guys, you only have 20 pounds. And then offered to guarantee them the 20 pounds and pay them out of his own pocket if they took the gamble and lost. So they went back on, and they fudged their line. So try it again, and they agreed to it. And wouldn't you know it, they won. Ended up winning a new car. Oops. And another embarrassing case he talked about was they had a contestant on there, a darts player, who was in a wheelchair. That's not the embarrassing part, but that's coming. They got to the bonus round, and just before he started firing his darts, they realized how close it was when the producers called for taping to stop. And they had a huddle, because it turns out what happened is the bonus prize that day was a set of leather furniture, which they figured would be useless to a paraplegic. So they made a quick decision to change the prize out and instead give away the trip that was meant to be for the next show. So change the slides and everything and have the video ready for the trip. Pick tape back up, they won. It was a skiing holiday in Switzerland. Awkward. So I'm not gonna tell all the funny stories out there. I'm just gonna direct everyone to go look them up on YouTube because it's really hilarious how some of these can happen. And I kind of question whether or not they're really true or if Jim made them up. But either way, still funny stories, and it's worth the laugh. So I hope you've had a laugh and you've enjoyed yourself during this run of the Global Game, our first episode. Hopefully we got the first episode jitters out of the way. And we'll see you next time when once again we travel the world here on the Global Game. I'm Marc Power. So long.